I was rated the highest rating for 5 years before I got promoted. I had to learn the hard way that getting promoted doesn't mean that you have accuracy and all of the details at your hands. I had to learn the hard way that being perfect at your job does not necessarily advance you. And Diane, I'll tell you another secret. After 5 years, I got promoted, and one would have thought that promotion was worth the wait. I got $5,000 on my salary.
Welcome to Women and Work, the show where we take an inside look at how women are overcoming our own unique challenges as we nurture our careers, businesses, and families. I'm Diane Moca, founder and CEO of the MomSub childcare app. And I want you to know that work can fit your life. Our guests show you how they've done it. Today, I'm with Marisa Mann, the founder and CEO of Uplift All, which coaches leaders, executives, and teams to reach their full potential. Marisa spent much of her career as a management consultant and executive at prestigious companies like JP Morgan, Accenture, and Gartner, where she focused on financial growth and transformation. She also serves on boards of organizations tackling responsible AI and reversing diabetes. Thanks for being here, Marisa.
Diana is so excited to be here with you today. Working moms are just a part of my passion.
Awesome. Well, that's the same for us. And another one of your passion is being in some high-powered places. I bet you've been in the C-suite of some places where a lot of men tend to dominate the conversation. So I want to start out by asking, what do you think was one of the biggest challenges that you had in those types of environments as a woman?
I would say, actually, I take it back to even getting there. I remember some of my mentors, when I was in a large conference room, I would sit out towards the edge of the conference room and not sit at the table. And my mentor would come over, tap me on the shoulder, and tell me to go take a seat at that table. So really the encouragement in my career along the way that I have something valuable to say and to contribute within the environment on my thoughts and what I truly felt, because the dynamic that we bring is certainly different to the corporate world, and we are certainly underrepresented there.
Definitely. And were those mentors men, women, or both?
Mostly women, to be honest with you. We have to lift each other up. Really firm believer that we lead by example and encouragement. We believe in each other, and how can we encourage ourselves to really come out and say what we're thinking, because we're perfectionists. We're kind of raised that way as children growing up, that we're afraid to speak our mind more freely, and we have to be encouraged to do so.
Still, to this day, girls are often told, be polite, be deferential. And, more and more we hear, be loud, be proud. But we need to, like you said, remind girls. And when you were first coming up, like you said, you needed a little bit of encouragement to do that. So what was your trajectory? Was this career path that you took what you planned, or did it just happen?
Oh, it's not. You can plan all you want. I remember walking the hall in the lobby, and my mentor told me, "What do you want to be?" And I said, "I want to be a COO." She's like, "Whoa, that's pretty ambitious." There wasn't really a clear path, to be honest with you. So really trying to be curious and doing things early in my career. Someone told me, and this was a man actually, told me to do all of the jobs so that you understand as you move up what those jobs mean, and are able to be empathetic as well as understanding what those different roles within technology would do. So as I continue to climb up, I wanted to master the details. That actually held me back for a while. Diane, I was rated the highest rating for 5 years before I got promoted. I had to learn the hard way that getting promoted doesn't mean that you have accuracy and all of the details at your hands.
Why did that hold you back? Because you were so good at it, they didn't want you to leave that position, or because somehow they penciled you in and thought that's all that you can do real well?
So I think a couple of things. If I can step back a second and just tell you a little bit about my upbringing, that will help that. Because so my parents came here from Thailand as a part of the medical shortage. So my mom was a nurse, and she was able to gain, legal immigration here. And I was born here, so first generation American, and I didn't have role models that showed me how to act in a conference room or in the professional setting. So I would say that sometimes you don't know what you think is the thing that's most important, accuracy, the details. I knew every detail of my project program plans to the T, every stat, every KPI, but that wasn't going to advance me. That wasn't going to make me a better leader. And really trying to learn and understand, what does leadership mean? I'll tell you, another pivotal point in my career was that same mentor actually brought me into a room and told me to be a fly on the wall. That I wasn't allowed to say anything, just to listen. And when I listened to the executives, quite frankly, banter, I said, oh my gosh, that's what you guys do in the closed door rooms? But not having exposure to that, I didn't really understand what did it take to rise up in leadership until I understood a little bit of that banter is a part of how they figure out how to work together, collaborate, and move things forward in alignment. And so that's what we do now, is work with C-suite teams to help them build alignment and buy-in along the way, because leadership is an ongoing muscle that you have to continue to strengthen. So I would say I had to learn the hard way that being perfect at your job does not necessarily advance you. And Diane, I'll tell you another secret. After 5 years, I got promoted, and one would have thought that promotion was worth the wait. I got $5,000 on my salary.
So you got a nice title, right, to appease you, but not a nice bump up in salary.
And it was just an interesting thing to say, wow, I was really striving for that thing. What did that really mean? What is that in my career journey? And you got to carve your own path as a working woman to say, what's important to you? How do you balance? And I would encourage that to not just be professional things, but personal things as well, because you bring your whole self to work.
And speaking of your whole self, you were talking about this banter that men were doing and women kind of weren't invited in, but someone invited you in. Would you qualify that as sort of the old boys club, the kind of conversations that used to happen on the golf course? Maybe one of the reasons women were excluded because there were these activities, and still are, where men are engaging in them and women aren't. And what did you do to overcome that, besides getting invited and listening as a fly on the wall?
I think it's actually, I don't know that it's such a Mars-Venus thing, to be honest with you. It just happens to be they're moving up, and they've been organically share with each other these things. I didn't realize until I was in the C-suite of one of the companies, not the ones that you named, but I was invited to this dinner with all the other CEOs. My CEO couldn't make it, so I got to go as the COO. And we sat down with one of the authors that helps businesses scale. And they were talking about things from like, what's the next trend? What's the thing that you should go in and invest in? And how they work through the challenges in their business across drinks and dinner that we are just not aware of if we just put our heads down, work really hard, go home, open the laptop, and work again. So you just have to know, look up and out, and be curious. We have to curate our own network. What are the things that have made us successful? How do we lift each other up? How do we deal with that dynamic? I don't think that they intentionally look to exclude us. It just happens so much easier and more organically for men. So the inclusiveness, I would say, for our allies too, to really continue to try to include us in those things.
Let me ask, were you a good student?
I was a great student.
Okay. I think sometimes women approach work like a student, right? Check all the boxes, do straight A work, do the kind of work that the professor is going to give you a lot of accolades for. But in the work world, it doesn't translate as much.
Not at all. Not at all. I would
So
say
we're almost taught not the wrong things, but we need to be taught some additional things in school, right? Isn't that the point of internships, I guess?
So I had an internship from the time I was 18 in construction management. I had to actually have the trades teach me how to do their job best. So I would say very early on in male-dominated industries, I learned how to work with them, how to encourage them, how they help teach and mentor me. And so I would say, yeah, you're right. Like the hard work, putting your head down isn't what gets you to win at the end of the day. It's learning how to communicate, set expectations, boundaries, prioritization, and really being able to negotiate, quite frankly.
Why did you want to become a COO? Why was that so important? Was it a label? Was it the money? Was it to have your family be proud? Was it all of those things? What was it?
So I studied part of me is an engineer, math, science type thing. So I said operations, love processes, love efficiency. I just felt like of any of the C-suite prototypes that I looked at, I thought COO was like the thing for me. That was what I was meant to do. So when I went to business school, we had an operations class that I just absolutely loved and adored. Being a part of the C-suite, I would say, helps to break that glass ceiling. And I want to show my kids. So I have two girls. So I wanted to show my kids that I can do it and you can do anything. But I don't expect you to do the same things I did. I want you to carve your own path.
So you have children. And you have this very high-powered career. So when did they start to clash? At what point was the career not the only thing in your life? When did a man come into your life? When did, children come into your life? Was it very intentional? Did it disrupt things, or did you have it all figured out?
It's never all figured out. You could have a plan all you want, but whether it's God's plan or whatever you believe, that can come into play. I met my husband in my late 20s. I was a management consultant at the time. And after we got married, I decided I wanted to try to go back to industry just because a management consultant can come in, help solve some problems, but doesn't live with the aftermath. And I wanted to show that. That also allowed me to be home more with my husband. So even though I traveled occasionally, I was going to be more at home to build a relationship and build our life together. At the age of 30, I got pregnant. So, by the way, I was still a management consultant at the time at a different firm. And just my husband kind of knocked on the door and said, I really miss you when you're gone. Kind of want you to be at home so that when we have our kids, you're not flying 4 to 5
Did
days
you
a
want
week.
that?
I did, actually.
Okay.
We were united and always aligned. My husband, I'm very lucky because he is the lead, we call it the lead parent. Someone has to be the lead parent.
He's the one that gets the call when the kids are sick at school.
Until recently, yes.
Okay.
And that most certainly gave a dynamic for us in the household that was challenging as well from a working mom. But Diane, let me tell you about two points of conflict that I would say had to work its way out. First time I'm pregnant, I decided to go into industry. I was 5 months pregnant by the time I got that job. So I was like starting to show, but I did not tell them.
No.
I didn't tell them
It's
until
a big debate on social media if women should or shouldn't because they fear repercussions.
Yeah, I think if I were to do it again, I think I would have told them because I think they would have stuck with me. They wanted me to start this new group. But at the time, and this was, she's 19, so this was 20 years ago. That was not a commonplace and certainly a threat. So I think thinking back, I think I could have negotiated what I needed from that perspective for us not to be scared of knowing our strength and knowing what we bring to the table and trying to balance that. But while I was out on maternity, the person who filled in for me definitely wanted my job. So that was always an interesting thing. So my boss was so supportive of me and was very conscious about providing the challenges for the person who is filling in at the same time balancing those things. It is a hard dynamic to have to let go and then to come back into work again.
And did you take the amount of time that you wanted, or did you feel a little rush because you're like, well, I didn't really tell them I'm going to take the minimal? Were you comfortable with that then and even later when you look back on it?
Yeah, so because I was there under the amount of time, I did not get the full maternity. I only got short-term disability. We got extended 2 weeks. I would say it's such a crucial time to be with your child. I wish I had negotiated my full maternity at that time. We balanced it. My mother-in-law, everyone, the whole village comes in to
That's
raise
great
your
that you
child.
had that.
Yeah. I was at the same place at the time when I had my second child. And at that time, my peer came to me and asked me to report to them. Because they said, well, you're doing this family thing. So I tried to double down after I got full maternity that time. Don't worry. I did get it. I came back and doubled down on the work and just made sure that they knew I wasn't going to miss a beat.
Mm-hmm. And then you had a third child?
No, just two. Thank goodness. Yes. Okay. Two. I have a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old now.
Okay. And so how did you navigate, even though you had the default parent was your husband, were you comfortable with that? Did you have mom guilt? Was that decision based on your income, that you were the higher income earner? And how did that sit with you? Were you just like, he's got this, I don't ever have to worry? Or you're like, well, maybe I should be there when they get the little trophy at school?
Yeah, it's a balancing act for both of us. We both agreed upon it. Being the lead parent is super hard because he works full time too. His company was very respectful of family life and was okay with helping us navigate and balance those things. I would say I could have done it too. I saw other women who were at my company do it. I was just more driven. So it's just what are you comfortable with and negotiate with your partner on to say, is it your turn? Is it my turn? No, you go for it. It's okay. And in between my two kids, to be honest with you, Diane, I went to business school. I went to executive MBA school.
Wow.
So we were taking on a lot to try to advance our career to make a better life for our children. And we wanted them to know that they have better opportunities by us doing this. As they were growing up, I would say the dynamic was most certainly the three of them were much closer. I joke around now that I've got like two different senses of humor in the house, three of them, and then me. So it is a little bit of a running joke, but really trying to balance it and make sure that you make your space in the family. I was hurt from time to time around the dynamic that we had in the family because they had their inside jokes because they were always together and they always had car rides together, and I didn't really have that because I was traveling into the city and then traveling back. So honestly, I was gone before 7 and not back till after 7 o'clock at night.
So if one of them fell and skinned their knee, oh, they went crying to dad.
Dad, yes.
Not mom.
And it is,
you
the
would
mom
be
guilt's
there
real.
sometimes, yeah.
That mom guilt is real. You're like, am I causing permanent damage? They go to daycare. What are those questions in your mind? But I have to tell you, we talk about this frequently amongst my girls, and they're like, Mom, we're fine. We loved having daycare. We got to do things that were fun. And they learned to be self-sufficient and very independent in their thinking. And I'm really proud of them and what they continue to do, the values, the morals that they have as individuals as well. So they're well balanced, I would say.
So you had them in daycare when they were young, and then when they went to school, you had before and after school care.
Yeah, so either the school provided it or we actually hired a teacher, usually was looking for more hours after
You did.
school.
So and in your home or in their home?
In our home.
Okay.
So
to
just,
take them to activities and things too?
they were not as activity. We tried to do that on the weekends together, like swim class and things like that. But during the week, they would come do homework with them from like, 3-ish to like 5 or 6, whenever we could take over for them.
And how tricky was it to find someone that could be in that spot long term? Did you
Not-
have to go through several
So
people?
we hired people either from the daycare or from the school. If you just ask around and have the courage enough to ask, I'm like, we have to ask. These are people we were used to. So my eldest child, it was her second grade teacher. She stayed with us for a couple of years. We're still connected on Facebook today, and she's
Nice.
seeing all the life stages of our children.
And how did life seem different for you when you were a working woman versus a working mother?
I think it's the balance of trying to juggle, and now they know. Back in the day, it wasn't, I don't know that maybe it was illegal, but people still ask those questions. They used to ask me, like, oh, do you plan on being a mom? When does that plan on happening? It was always
Your
a consideration.
superiors would ask that.
No, so I had
peers.
I will not say where, but I had an offer to go somewhere, and they were asking me things about getting married and having children, and I decided
During
not
the
to go there.
interview.
Yeah, as they
And
gave
so
me
that
the
was a
offer.
red flag to you.
Yes, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
So I think it's always on the top of people's minds as to when we're having kids and getting married. But I think you stand your ground with, they don't need to know that. You stand within your own credibility and what you bring to the table, period, end of story. But that's what Uplift All is all about, though, is trying to bring your full authentic self and being able to balance those two things, professional and personal life.
Did you have the questions? So when you have your baby, are you coming back to work? The questions that men never get, but women always do. And what was your reaction? Did it make you, did you bristle at that? Or were you like, oh, that's a natural question? What do you think?
I didn't even think anything of it because my parents were dual income. My mom was a nurse, my dad is an accountant. And so it was never a second thought to me.
But when the people asked that, was it something that bothered you? Or
No.
were you just like, no, I'm coming back. Of course I'm coming back.
Yeah, of course.
Don't you know
Yeah.
how important this is?
Yeah.
You know, you can have two things in life that are three things, right? Four things, you know, your husband, your extended family, your children, your career. You know, it just takes a lot to juggle it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Diane, honestly, it did not really phase me. What phased me is if they thought that my peer would ask me to essentially report into him to be on his team after my second child. I said, no, no, we're peers and nothing else. So like if they asserted that my career path should change because of my children, that is when I had the adverse reaction to say, oh, hell no.
Okay. And what about women who want understanding and empathy at work when they do have to leave, or the default parent, whether it's a woman or not, but often a
Yeah.
woman, early because of the pickup, or you know they can't be in that meeting where they were planning to because of a sick child. And I see so much conversation about this on social media about the fact that the peers don't understand and then they have a child and then they do understand, or the boss doesn't understand, or they think you're less committed. There's this whole feeling around that idea, and it sounds like you didn't really have to ever do that because you weren't the default parent, but now you're coaching people who may be asking for those things.
Oh, yeah. I think your commitment towards the goals of the company and what outcomes and impacts you need to deliver need to come first and foremost. And your work, as you try to balance it, the understanding is you'll just get your work done. Like I have to go pick up my sick child, but don't worry, I'll get the things I committed to done.
Later.
Becomes not an issue
Right.
because unless they're micromanaging you, right? Like that, it's really not an issue because we multitask so much better than some of the men out there. And so we'll get the stuff done. If we need to log on after the kids went to bed, which was a common occurrence. So I'd get home at 7, help, the marathon, dinner, bath, bedtime, and then log back on to work.
When you're exhausted, that whole scenario always kind of drains a lot of energy out of you, depending on how easily your kids go to bed or not, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are a lot of your clients women? Are you focused on helping women as a coach and a fraction? So you're a fractional CXO?
Yes. So we help small to mid-sized businesses with any like CXO related gaps that they might have, from operations to technology, especially in this world of AI.
So it's Chief Experience Officer.
No, it actually stands for like whatever you need, right? Chief Innovation Officer, Chief
Oh.
COO Operations,
Okay.
Technology,
Okay.
AI. So we really try to stay cutting edge with the technology. We know that this change, I always say it's never been a more exciting time in technology. And I can never stop saying that, from the mobile era, to now. And we focus on underrepresented groups, I would say. So that's how my passion personally, my partners all have passions in specific areas. Mine is work with working moms.
Okay. So Uplift All, you have partners in the business, but you're the one that started it, created it. It was your brainchild. And you focus on the working moms, and then you have other partners who focus on other underrepresented
Areas.
founders. So you work with all different businesses, but especially in the area of helping those teams and with their unique challenges. So you've got a challenge now with DEI not just not being accepted, but sort of being rejected in a way that it wasn't in the past. So does that influence at all how you help people to navigate in the workplace in a way that works for everyone?
I think of So there's certain things that people who, as they network, right, in the boys club or whatever club there is, they learn so many things about communication and how to exert themselves. In underrepresented groups, we come from different backgrounds, and oftentimes we are not taking that moment to really listen and understand where people come from. And that's why I kind of stopped and said, hey, I want you to know that I'm a first generation American, which means that we had no money. My parents had to work their way through this. And knowing that background and knowing what my values are makes a huge difference in how you coach and help people. And that's why underrepresented groups are at our passion, at our core, is that first you need to seek to understand these individual leaders and help them understand how they should communicate and influence and negotiate, because those are the most powerful things that we need in the business world to continue to move forward with their strengths and superpowers, because there are amazing people out there. I always talk about how there's enough for everyone out here. There is enough work to do for everyone to be very successful. How do we help each other? And our goal is to help professionals so that they can help others and we can continue to help our generations thrive. It's not about DEI. It's about the movement of really understanding each other, aligning, and really moving forward rather than fighting in politics and things that honestly I don't like putting energy towards, but we have to manage it, quite frankly.
So the EQ more important than the IQ.
Oh, no doubt.
Yes. And what would you like to leave people with in terms of knowing about Uplift All?
Yeah. So we have two parts of our business. One is client service that you mentioned, right? Fractional CXO, helping you really understand your strategy and plan and get alignment within your C-suite teams. And then the second piece is we're working to create a movement to help create that platform for underrepresented professionals to help thrive in this world. So learning and continuing to learn from each other and bringing the best partners into the ecosystem. So that's more to come, Diane. Quite frankly, I'm so honored to have been here with you and to share my story today.
And thank you for joining us and for all that you're doing for working moms. If you were inspired by today's story, remember to share it with a friend, leave a review, and subscribe to meet our next amazing guest. If you want to invest in a solution to the childcare crisis, check out MomSub's equity crowdfunding campaign at momsub.com/invest or connect with MomSub on any of our social media pages. Remember, your career, your choices, and your success are yours to define. Keep pushing boundaries and spreading your love and encouragement to other women who need it.